my fellow comrades in arms of the veterans of foreign wars, patriots of the auxiliary, citizens of our great republic, special guests, and VIPs, thank you for coming here today to honor, recognize, and commemorate our annual Prisoner of War Missing in Action Day, known as POW MIA Day. I would like to start off by asking each one of you to think in your head about a time in your life when you had a best friend. You did everything together. You played together, you ate together, you went to school together, you may have even worked together. And during that friendship, you discussed parts of your life, future of your life, things that happened in the past, the relationships that you might have with families, friends, with loved ones, with those that maybe you hope to one day have. And I want you to think about this now. Where did they go? Because I know we all had friends from middle school and high school, and life takes us in different ways. And today's technology with social media allows us to stay in contact with people that we loved way back then but maybe grew apart from. It also allows us to be found by people we really don't want to have anything to do with anymore. So I want you to think about that. Think about all of that. But what I want you to think about more importantly is that same concept with a service member. As you see, service members, they're forged. They just don't come out of the streets and then they're Joe Rambo or whatever. They're forged, they're made, they're trained. And during that process, they forge bonds with other people, that person on that right, that person on the left, the person in front, or the person behind them. And they become friends. Sometimes they become best friends. And at times, even in the thickest of some of the most extreme conditions, we rely on that brother or sister to our right or our left to have our six, to have our back, to take care of us. And many times they do, and many times we take care of them. And then I want you to think about this. The last time you see them was in an extreme situation. Maybe they helped save your life. Maybe you tried to help save theirs. Maybe you weren't even there because you were somewhere else on that battlefield. But they're not here anymore. In that emptiness, where are they? What happened to them? We need to go find them. Sticks with you. And you were there when it happened. Now take that. Think about it as a family member. You're back home, thousands of miles away. Your brother, your sister, your mother, your dad, your grandparents. Now they're missing. You get that notification that says, hey, he was last seen on or about this location. We don't know where he's at. Or he was on this ship. This ship, from what you know in the headlines, was hit and it sunk. They're still finding survivors. Is Uncle Joe part of them? Is my brother part of it? Is my sister on that? When you think about that, think about the eternal loss those family members feel when you're declared missing in action. Now, because of all of the wars our country has been in and the fact that both sides will take prisoners, the Geneva Convention has worked out a thing on the conduct of prisoners that most nations follow. Sometimes they don't. And when your loved one is declared missing and then it's reported that they're a POW, a prisoner of war, there's that elation. They're still alive. There's still a chance. There's still that hope for the future. Until you realize maybe that country doesn't necessarily follow the rules and conduct of the Geneva Convention, the warfare of civilized nations, even though warfare is not civilized. And then you start worrying, are they getting enough to eat? Are they being treated properly? Because I know we all have images of torture that come to our mind because it's either been hyped up by the media based off of true events, or it's just because our imagination goes wild. And you think about when you're sitting there at family dinner table, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, New Year's Day, Super Bowl Sunday, and they're not there, either because they're still a prisoner or because they are missing in action. Today, what I'd like to do is point out to you, we have a table up here. Each one of you have a handout. I know you can read, but I'm going to read because the people who are watching this did not have this handout. This is called the Fallen Soldiers Table. And it's for those who have served and those who are currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States. And it's supposed to represent that we are ever mindful of the sweetness of enduring peace that has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. They are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, others have endured or may still be enduring the agonies of pain and internment. We call attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. The tablecloth is white, the purity of their intentions in response to their country's call to arms. The single rose in a vase signifies the blood they may have shed for our freedom. The slice of lemon signifies their bitter fate. The salt reminds us of the many countless tears of families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They are not with us, therefore they cannot drink with us tonight. And the chair is empty because they are not here. Part of why we do this on an annual basis is so that we don't forget the sacrifices that those men and women have made, nor the sacrifices of their families. My staff up on the 12th floor, while putting this ceremony together, God bless them, got to talking about what this really meant, what it meant to America, what it meant to them, and they penned this and asked me to read it. Used to be, across the world, families gathered around the dinner table, not just for special occasions or holidays, but nightly. Families coming home from long days, parents would be on front porches calling out for kids to get home for dinner, on neighborhood corners looking for those kids that knew to be home before the last church bell rang or before the street lights came on. And from all over you would see the kids racing home to beat the deadline. Dinner was a sit-down affair. The dinner table was a time to talk about your day over a good meal. Laughter was shared, arguments were settled, bellies were filled. There was always enough food, plenty of room, and a chair for every family member at the table. If the table had an empty chair, it was noticed and questions were asked. Where are they? Concern was shown. Is everything okay? Lastly, there was an explanation for their absence. No matter the reason, their place at the table was left empty, open, ready for whenever they joined the family, and for some, to honor them and remember them. That is what this table represents. It's referred to as the fallen soldier or the missing man table, and it is to honor our nation's POWs and MIAs. The table is set for those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States. Let us not forget the sacrifices of those and their families. As of the latest update that you have in front of you, the map of the world, more than 81,000 Americans remain missing from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, the Gulf Wars, and other conflicts. 81,000. That means there are 81,000 empty seats at dinner tables across this country. 81,000 families have questions, they have concerns, they are owed answers. Let us not forget the sacrifices of those and their families and do our best to bring them home. One of the reasons why I am committed to the veterans of foreign wars has to do with our ability to recognize events like this and to bring closure in cases. What I'd like to do is read a couple of advertisements out of Foreign Service. This is our VFW magazine. This issue is from January of 1947. If I start crying, that means you can cry too, because I haven't been able to make it through these. I'm gone to the back where there are literally hundreds of these. I'm only going to read a few. Company L, 120th Infantry. I would be very grateful for any information concerning my fiancé. PFC John Albini. Reported killed January 15, 1945 in Belgium. A letter from former buddies with any details concerning his death will be appreciated. Service Company, 424th Infantry, 106th Division. Would like to hear from anyone who can give me details concerning the capture and death of my son, Staff Sergeant Charles L. Langland, near Winterspell, Germany, the night of December 16, 1944. A letter from any of the men who were with him will be deeply appreciated. 533rd Bomb Squadron, 351st Bomb Group. I would appreciate any information leading to the whereabouts of my brother, First Lieutenant Herbert Cartville, reported missing in an aerial fight over Germany on October 9, 1943. 351st Infantry, 88th Division. Would appreciate information concerning the death of PFC Ernest J. Krause, reported missing in action and later as killed on October 30th, 1944 in the Gesso Mountains of Italy. Any details would be appreciated. Company K, 311th Infantry, 78th Division. Family would be greatly appreciate any information concerning Private Agathon Bud Wolf, reported missing December 14th, 1944, somewhere in Belgium. He was declared dead a year later. We have no details. Company F, 331st Infantry, would be grateful for any information concerning PFC David Harry Claiborne, reported missing and later reported killed on July 26, 1944 in France. Would especially like to hear from some of his former buddies who served with him. USS Nisho. Would like to hear from any of the survivors of this ship who knew my brother, Winston T. Manry, reported missing when the Nisho was sunk in the Battle of the Coral Sea on May 8th of 1942. Company E, 110th Infantry. I would like to learn the details of the death of my son, Private Edward H. Pearson, taken prisoner in Luxembourg on December 20th of 1944 and died in a German prison camp on March 10th of 1945. He was buried a half-mile from the prison. USS Northampton. I would like to hear from anyone who served on this ship prior to the time it was destroyed near Guadalcanal, the night of November 30th, 1942. My son, Orville F. Clayton, was on the ship and was reported missing and then later declared dead following the battle. Any information regarding him will be appreciated. I read these to you because the power of our organization allows families to reach out to those of us who have served overseas, to bring closure to those families so that they can know what happened to their loved ones in their last moment, because that is always the answer. What happened? How did it happen? And I think every family wants to know that their son or daughter did their utmost best under the most adverse situations available, because to them, they are their family's heroes. For the rest of us in this nation, they are American heroes that should endure forever. And while none of us have heard of these men who gave their life in our country, who are missing or who are held prisoner, reading their names again brings them to life, if only for that moment. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the work that you do for the veterans of foreign wars, whether it's here at the National Headquarters or at your post. And I know sometimes that can be contentious, and that's okay. We are all about helping veterans, not just helping veterans nationwide, but helping veterans in every single community. And it's important that we take these moments to remember key events in history, for the nation that forgets its defenders will soon be forgotten itself. Thank you. I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate greatly what you do for the veterans of foreign wars, because it helps people everywhere. Thank you.